Let's understand, with full clarity and historical perspective, how the Taliban managed to retake Afghanistan in just a few weeks. It all began after September 11th, when the United States and NATO forces invaded Afghanistan to dismantle al-Qaeda and punish the Taliban for harboring them. The U.S. aimed to ensure that the Taliban, which ruled Afghanistan before 2001, would never again provide a safe haven to terrorists. President George Bush had three goals: destroy al-Qaeda, dismantle the Taliban, and establish a stable, free Afghanistan. But what followed was a drawn-out war. Over 10,000 American troops were deployed under his leadership. Then came President Obama, who believed that negotiating with the Taliban might be possible, but only if they reduced violence, respected women's rights, and followed democratic institutions. By 2010, the U.S. military presence had grown to 100,000 troops. But by the end of his term, Obama had brought that number down to 8,400. Next was President Trump. His stance was simple: reduce violence, and we'll leave. The rest is up to you. The U.S. spent over $2.2 trillion during this war. More than 2,400 American soldiers lost their lives. Billions were spent on Afghan security forces, training and equipping them with the hope that they could hold the country on their own. But reports from U.S. watchdogs like the Lessons Learned series exposed the truth. Corruption, incompetence, lack of leadership, and zero motivation plagued the Afghan army. Despite $88 billion invested in military support, the Afghan forces crumbled like sand. Taliban had around 80,000 fighters. Afghan forces had 369,000 troops. Yet, in a matter of weeks, the Afghan army surrendered without putting up a fight. Why? Because motivation matters more than equipment. The Taliban were driven by ideology and purpose. The Afghan forces? Heavily equipped, but broken from within, corrupt, divided, and demoralized. Back to Trump. In his final months, he made a deal with the Taliban saying the U.S. would withdraw by 2021. The condition? No attacks on American troops. But even before Trump left office, the Taliban began breaking promises, refusing to cut ties with al-Qaeda and undermining the Afghan government. Then came President Biden. In July 2021, he confidently stated that there was no chance the Taliban would take over. But he still went ahead with Trump's withdrawal plan, pulling U.S. forces out completely. Another crucial point: 70% of the American public supported the withdrawal. For any politician, that's a green light. But the consequences were severe. The result? The Taliban declared a new government. President Ashraf Ghani fled the country. Scenes from Kabul airport shocked the world. Thousands scrambling to escape, clinging to aircrafts, risking their lives. It was a failure of vision, trust, leadership, and most importantly, humanity.